Okay, so yesterday I watched Survivor 45 episode. I think this was episode 5? Okay, Hannah, Brandon, Sabaya, Sean, Brando. Yeah, this was episode 5. So, spoilers for who got voted out, but I'm assuming you've probably already watched it or you don't care for spoilers if you're here. So, there you go. And a few minutes ago, I watched Chucky season 3. I believe this was episode 4. That sounds about accurate. So, starting with Survivor, the way I'm just like, here's all the shit that happened in Reba, here's all the shit that happened in Bello, here's all the shit that happened in Lulu, the challenge. I don't know why I don't know how to speak, but then the challenge, and there's a journey post challenge. So then the journey, scrambling, tribal council, and then just Chucky, and here's all the fucking shit that happened, and holy shit, there is some crazy shit that happened in Chucky. It was like, this is so cool. Oh, no, that's fun. Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's nasty. Yeah. But boy, there was this one part I'm like, this is like the one thing that will always get under my skin, and they did it great, and I hated it, but I loved it. But starting with Survivor, starting with Reba, there's just this, because of what happened last time, was Sean had said, hey, vote me out, I want to go home. One of the girls, that being Dee, voted for Shifu, and then Shifu's like, huh? Who voted for me? Like, maybe I'm not as secure as I think I am. I gotta do something about this. And as they're giving their hugs and shit, he's like, yo, Sean, did you vote for me? Nah. And then he goes. And they talk about that a little bit, and he's like, look, like, who voted for me? What's going on? Who voted who? And all three girls say, I voted Sean. I voted Sean. I voted Sean. And Shifu's like, okay, so someone's lying. Because even if Sean was lying and he was the one that voted for me, that means one of these three voted for D. And if they're all saying, I know D didn't vote for D, so either one of those two voted D and is lying to save face in front of D, or Sean's telling me the truth, he voted D, and one of these three voted for me. That kind of rhymed, that was kind of fun. It's like one of them voted for me, and I don't know who, and no one is owning up to it, so I can't trust anybody. Meanwhile, the three girls are like, man, fuck Sean. Okay, like, it's one thing to quit, but why did we even have to vote afterwards? Like, we were trying to take pity on you because we were gonna keep your ass. Like, we had literally zero intention of voting you out, but you said vote us out. Then one of us didn't, and then D's like, come on, this was like the perfect chance to just get rid of Shifu because he didn't see it coming. Don't vote with your heart, vote with your fucking head. It's like if Sean wants to leave after, he can leave. It's two birds with one stone. Like, I don't know. She's kind of cooking with that. Like, that makes a lot of sense. Like, Hannah in episode 1 specifically said, if you don't vote me out, I'm leaving. So just do it. Sean didn't quite make that ultimatum, so maybe he would have stayed. And I mean, there's kind of a vibe that I got, like, watching the episode, and then, like, his thing at the end of, like, if I really wanted to, I probably could have made it to the end, but, like, I'm good. That rubbed me the wrong way. I'm like, was his, and I'm like, I don't know the guy and everything, but, like, were you quitting because you genuinely were like, I've got what I wanted out of this, I think I'm good, I'm ready to go home, and it's genuine? Or was it boy, my game completely went to shit, and then we got swapped, which was lucky, but then everything still completely went to shit? So, I think I'm just gonna, like, you can't fire me, I quit. That's kind of how it comes across. And I don't like it. But, and then, hey, I mean, if they had voted, which is kind of the thing, it's like, if they had voted Shifu, it was like, oh, look, it wasn't me, suddenly I don't want to quit anymore? Or would he still have been like, no, like, I am ready to go? I don't know. But I did appreciate the girls just being like, man, It's one thing of him to quit when we were we were not gonna vote him out. We were gonna get rid of this other dude, and that's annoying. That's frustrating, but it is what it is. But the fact that on his way out, he kind of blew up what we were doing, fuck that guy. As someone who didn't like the optics of Sean's quit, as I've made clear, I appreciated the dig against him, which sounds really fucked up to say. I'm not gonna lie. Again, he might be a wonderful person. Maybe I'll meet him someday. We're like, dude, this guy is great. And like, I talked to him. That quit was 100% genuine. Now I feel bad, but it's based solely on what I saw, it didn't leave a positive impression. And then you've got Shifu, who's like, the game's afoot. Man, I gotta do crazy shit. I gotta survive. Like, I've made me a fake idol, and I'm gonna do everything I can to survive with that. And then I got really confused. So, the three girls, that's Julie, aka Mama J, D, and J Maya, want to vote out Shifu. J Maya just is like, I don't like Shifu, I don't trust Shifu, and the three of us girls have an alliance. Mama J and D are like, look, we're not in an alliance with J, but if she thinks so, that's great for us. We don't trust Shifu, but we just don't really bond with her very well either. I mean, she's just, yeah, it is what it is. I'm like, okay, this all makes sense. Jay saying he might have an idol. He's done a lot of looking. We don't trust him. I think we should vote him out. And Mama J and D saying to her, yeah, we don't know. We're scared he has an idol. We should get him out too. That makes sense. However, Mama J and D saw Austin get the idol. Like, they were helping him with the thing, see all the steps. And I believe that after he got it, they did tell him, or excuse me, Austin and Drew told them, we got the thing. So they know where the idol is and that Shifu doesn't have it. But in their confessionals, they've specifically said, we think he has an idol. We think he has something, and I'm scared of it, which makes me go, why? Now, you could make an argument like, hey, this is New Era Survivor. I mean, 41 plus is New Era, but this is still modern Survivor, where there's advantages everywhere. There can be idols fucking everywhere. You never know when you might just stumble across some shit somewhere. You go on journeys and get free shit. Like, I get that, but on the other hand, I'm like, Shifu hasn't gone on any of those. You guys, are specifically not letting him go on any of those, so you know he doesn't have anything from there. Maybe he found some other shit in the woods. You can't completely discount that. But generally, it's one idol per beach. Now, maybe at the merge or at a swap, that can change a little bit. So maybe that's what they're worried about. But it feels weird for them to know, we know exactly where the idol is. It's not with him. Thus, we think he has an idol. Huh? And as it continues, J Maya is essentially like, hey guys, I will volunteer to be the decoy vote, and you can tell Shifu that so he feels safe, he doesn't play an idol, and we blindside him. And then Mama J and D are like, yeah, that sounds great, and then talking to each other like, hey, I mean, are we really that close to J Maya? No, not really. Do we really want to work with her? I mean, no, not really. So then why don't we just vote for her? Shifu will think it's him, he'll play his idol, and then we just don't vote for him. We vote for her, because we don't really want to work with her, we're gonna have to cut her anyways. Drew and Austin don't really want to work with her either. Let's just, if we lose, cut her. This is really cold. I love it. I love that kind of sneaky shit. And if there's one thing about Survivor, it's never, ever vote, volunteer to be the decoy vote. Because there's so many times where someone will I'll be the decoy, I'm okay with it. And then they get fucking blindsided, either due to an idol or an advantage, or this kind of situation where we don't even really like him that much anyways, it's fine. And it's hey, My idea is that you be the decoy. Yeah, that's totally fine. And it's like, cool. I was planning on voting him out, and now he won't see it coming because he's expecting it. Like, it's the weird logic you could get away with to fuck people over on Survivor is great. Just don't willingly put yourself in that situation because you're setting yourself up for a stab in the back. But that was essentially what happened on Reba. Oh, we did get a little bit of backstory from Jay. Or, excuse me, not from Jay, from D. Which I like that in this season. Like, this sounds probably really bad. I like that I'm not being force-fed sad backstories. I did it, like, in 41, it kind of had some novelty where it's like, oh, hey, this is new. We're actually getting, like, full flashbacks and, like, cast photos and shit. You're like, oh, this is really cool. And then it was just, like, kind of constant. And while some of them are still, like, genuinely interesting, and it's like, yeah, like, it gives me a new degree of empathy for this player. I want to like them based on what they're showing me on the island. I want to like them for their base personality, their relationships, their gameplay. I don't really need all this other stuff, but a little bit now and then is fine. We've only gotten 2 so far this season, both in this episode, I guess, quick pin. And hers was talking about, like, yeah, you know, the fact that we're out here and we're starving, it's hard, it sucks, but, like, my family's from Cuba. Like, I've had a lot of, like, I heard from them, you know, what it's like to really starve, to really struggle. And, like, whenever I'm at my worst, I think about my family, I think about my center and why I'm here. And it helps me. You know, whenever I'm at my lowest, I remember why I'm here, and it keeps me going. And like, oh, what do you know? Someone on this season talking about, like, yeah, it's really hard, and I refuse to quit. And like, whenever that almost maybe comes into mind, I think about why I'm here. Like, thank you! That's wonderful! I don't feel like I should have to praise that. I feel like that goes without saying, but given what's happened so far in this season, I kind of have to. So pull the pin out. Now we gotta talk about... Wait, sorry, never mind. I'm talking about Bello next, not Lulu. Pin stage. Bello was essentially just, wow, Kendra has a lot of energy. And she just kind of gives good vibes. There was that. It wasn't too much of anything. It was kind of fun. Like, you got, like, the kooky music going on in the background. You're like, oh, yeah, that's kind of just what Kendra is in this season, the way it's portrayed. Like, she's just, like, the kooky character, but she's fun, though, and people like her. Like, that's cool. Drew and Brando get into this conversation about Pokemon, where I think it was Drew was like, yeah, like, I used to play a lot of competitive Pokemon. You've got Brando talking about, like, Pokemon Go and shit. And he starts bringing up numbers. Like, yeah, you know, like, in a raid, you have, like, a 24 out of 100. Some shit like that. And I'm like, oh, my God. They're discussing shiny odds on Survivor. This is wonderful. What the hell? That's so awesome. Like, you've seen it. I wear fucking Pikachu shirts. Do I actually have any Pokemon? I do have an Eevee wall over there in the corner. But it's all the Eeveelutions in a poster and, like, a couple small little prints on top. I think those are all the ones I have. I know somewhere across all the places I've lived, there's, like, a giant Squirtle plushie, a giant Pikachu plushie that I got one year for Christmas. Bunch of Pokemon cards, a fuck ton of Pokemon games. One of my prized... I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent. One of my prized possessions is a shiny Celebi card. Specifically, it was my best friend who, like, I've talked about him before. Like, I've known him my entire life. Like, he is my brother. His brother is my brother. His parents are, like, secondary parents to me. And that's not even like, I have such a shitty relationship with my family. His family is a replacement. It's like, no, I have a great relationship with my family. I have a great relationship with his family for, like, 25 years. They're just an extension of my own family. I love them. But he had visited for, like, a weekend or, like, a week off or something like that. And he had this card. It was a shiny Celebi. And I'm like, I want it. It's cool. How do I get it? And then I kept trying to trade him for it. And there was a point where he eventually just sat me down. He's like, Josh, here's the thing. No. I'm not going to trade you this card, and let me tell you why. You are making me trades. Like, you are starting to make me offers that I can't refuse. Like, the shit you are offering me is, like, too good to turn down, and it's not fair to you. You are my best friend. You're my brother. I can't take advantage of you like that. So let's just not. And I was like, okay, you're right. I appreciate that. I mean, it sucks because, like, it's really cool and it's, like, really pretty and it looks, like, super... Like, the rarity on the card is literally, like, 3 stars instead of the regular star. I'm like, that's so cool. I'm like, okay. So, we go to drop him off, which he lived about an hour and a half away. Maybe it was closer to like 2 hours. So what we would often do, like if it was either like I was going over there, he was coming over here, we'd kind of find like a halfway point and then like an exchange of the kid. Which, saying it like that, it almost sounds like it's a custody thing. It's like, no, it was just like both sides trying to make it as easy as possible so like we could hang out with each other. It was great. Like I said, like great relationships all around. And we stopped at like a gas station. And I picked up a pack of Pokemon cards, and I opened it up, and the shiny fucking Celebi was in there. And it was like, holy shit, I almost like gave up so much for this one card just to get my own later. But my copy of that card, it's something that reminds me, I guess, of a few things. It's like, one, like, it's okay to be patient. Like, you don't have to give up a whole bunch of shit to get something because you might still get it later. And also, it's like, this reminds me of the fact that my friend did not take advantage of me, even though I gave him ample opportunity to do so. And I appreciate that. So, tangent over, but short version, I love me some Pokemon. It's incredibly important to me. So just seeing a couple dudes on Survivor just be like, yeah, like we're just casually talking about competitive Pokemon and shiny odds and shit. I'm like, man, I would have loved to do that. It's combining two of my favorite things. Why couldn't I have been on this season? Man! You know, I got a big fucking kick out of that. Oh, yeah, and then essentially Brando was trying to use that to bond with Drew, like, hey man, you're a nerd, I'm a nerd, you like Pokemon, I like Pokemon, what's going on here? And Drew was like, nothing's going on here. He's like, you hear it from Brando's perspective, he's like, yo, this is someone who's a lot like me, I would love to work with him. And then Drew going, this feels so shallow that I don't believe it. Which is really funny, but also sad because it was genuine. And that's basically what happened on Bello. Again, like all pre-tribal shenanigans. Then we get to Lulu. I could take the pen out. So, Jake collapses for the second time in a few days. And we get to hear his backstory. Like, Jake was someone who was very overweight. He had a problem with binge eating. It was something that he struggled with, the actual binge eating, but it was also something that he was embarrassed of and was always trying to hide it from people. And he talks about how he had this conversation with his mom. And it's like, hey, like, we love you. This is not something you have to hide or be embarrassed about. And how that moment kind of broke him. And he's like, look, like, I wanted to change. I wanted to be better. And I lost, so much weight to come out here. This, like, it kind of gave him, like a goal, something to look forward to. And it's like, I'm working toward this. And now I'm out here, and I'm so fucking happy to be out here. And my body is starting to, like, let me down. And the fact that my body is something that has let me down my entire life, and I finally got it under control, just for it to break down on me again is so frustrating. Like, my mind is here, my emotions are here, but my body is not letting me. But I refuse to give in. Oh, sorry. I had a random text. It's like, I refuse to give in to my body. I am going to fight. I refuse to give up. If I go down, I am going down swimming. Like, you'll have to take my corpse off this island, which he doesn't say that. That's kind of almost the vibe. And again, like with D, it's like, thank you for telling me how much you want to be here, for telling me how much you don't want to quit. You're a fucking trooper, Jake. You're not like my favorite to win, but I want to see you do well. I am now living vicariously through you. Because I guess a little bit of a tangent again. That's like one of the big things I worry about. Because like I've said, I apply. I want to go out and play Survivor. I could do great for all I know. I could also be fucking terrible. I have no delusion about that. I could be dog shit. But I have a lot of problems with my body. I had really bad asthma growing up, which it's not as bad as it used to be, but it's still there. I have cerebral palsy, which mostly affects like my fine motor skills and my balance. I went through a lot of physical therapy and occupational therapy as a kid, and it's why I like function physically as an adult. And even then, there's still problems. Like not that most of you probably have. Like, if you've ever seen me in person or hung out with me, you might notice times where, like, my body just kind of starts moving and I start losing my balance because, like, it's actually a problem with my brain. And it used to not go so well. Like, I used to, like, if I would lose my balance, I would just fall. I used to fall a lot. And now I don't. If you've ever seen me walk, I don't really walk in a straight line. I kind of like swerve. I don't do that when I drive. I mean, maybe a little bit, but like it's nothing like bad. Like I can drive very competently. Knock on wood, I guess. But it's like I don't really walk in a straight line. I'm kind of weird like that. So there's that. I also have scoliosis. Like if you've ever seen my spine, that's a weird way to start a sentence. But like I've seen an X-ray of my spine, and it's not a straight line. It's like that. It's not good. I remember looking at it. I was like, that looks like a fucking snake. Like a snake charmer kind of thing. Is like my spine looks like the snake as it's like starting to curve out. Oh, that looks bad. Like, there's genuine physical problems with my body. And as much as I'm like, I want to go out there, I want to play, I want to do this, and like, there is that fear that what if my body just gives out because I can't? And that's so disappointing to think about. It's like, I could go out there and I could be in like a good position. I could be doing well. And then my body just says, fuck you. And I hate that that's a thing that could happen. So seeing Jake out there kind of expressing those same fears and saying, I don't care, I'm doing this and I'm going to stay as long as I can. And like that connects with me on a really personal level. Aside from that, other things that happened on Lulu, Katura gets caught idol hunting and like no one really trusts her except Caleb, who's just connected with everybody, and he's like, look, I can tell that everyone loves Kelly, so this is the person I really got to connect with, and they kind of started forging a thing. We'll see how well that goes. There was like a Katura Bruce thing, because there's always a Katura Bruce thing, and then you would just see like them talking, and then the camera would look at Caleb, who would just kind of look at the camera and not say anything, and I was just thinking to myself, it's like, okay, I know there's a lot of jokes about how Bruce just feels like Michael from The Office. Those moments of like him doing shit, he would look at Caleb and look back. It's like, Caleb is now Jim from The Office. Those are Jim expressions. This is comedy gold. I fucking love this season. So after all that, we get to the challenge, which is an obstacle course. And then you have to use like a giant hook to crank a thing for some like slingshot ammo to fall, and then you slingshot some targets. Honestly, it looked really fucking fun. So I was like, damn, like that looks dope as hell. Wish I could be playing that. Reba wins first. Lulu got second, so Bella was going to tribal, which means aside from Emily, they're all a bunch of tribal rookies. And at that point, Jeff's like, okay, Reba, you win. Select 3 people, 1 per tribe to go on a journey. And Shifu's like, guys, I really want to go on this. And they're like, yeah, congratulations. And J Maya and D play rock, paper, scissors. J Maya wins, so she's going like, cool. Who are you picking from Bello? Well, we're going to pick Kelly. Why? Oh, she sat out of the challenge and she looked really sad that she didn't. So we're going to give her something nice. And she's like, oh, thank you, guys. Like, yeah, that's really fucking sweet. Who are you picking from Bello? We're going to pick Austin. Okay, why are you picking Austin? Because he's a former tribe mate of ours and we really like him and we figure he's going to give us a lot of information after. And Austin is just sitting there going like, I'm about to go to tribal. Why would you say that? Why would you paint this massive target on my back right before I'm going to tribal? So they go on their journey. And like when they get to the top of the mountain, they see two things: sandwiches, an orange juice, and some trinkets. It's like, okay, here's what you guys can do. You have two options. Option number one, it was like, what, sustenance versus strategy. I think it's like, number one, just eat some fucking sandwiches. Like, you're starving, you're hungry, you need the energy, you need the calories. Get that for your body. And, not being hungry will help you sharpen your mind. Good shit. Or you can get some toys, which are the amulets from 42, 43. Again, like, the fact that there's no, like, the location is now all the same and there's no theme for each season, it's just numbers. They're kind of blending together in my mind. Like, I'm not always sure which one is which, but it's the Marianne season, which I believe is 42. It's the amulets, and if you don't remember that, it's cool. Person from each tribe, you get a little trinket. They cannot be used separately. Technically they can. I'll get to that in a second. You cannot activate an amulet without the consent of the other two people. The amulet can't be given away, can't be bequeathed. If you're voted out, you take it with you. All three together are an extra vote. Two together are steal a vote. One on itself, or by itself, is an idol. So the less amulets there are in play, the stronger the effect is. So either A, you have three people who, like, across tribal lines, work together to use this thing for an advantage, and it incentivizes working together, or it incentivizes, let me take them out, because the less of them there are, the more powerful it is, and there's less people to stop me from using it. So Austin, they're like, okay, majority decision. What do we want to do? And Austin's like, I want the fucking sandwich. He's like, look. And, like, in his confessional, he's like, I want to eat. Also, this is useless. This is not an advantage. This is a disadvantage, because now I'm tied to these two other people who probably think I want to use it at its strongest, which means I have to take these two out. He's like, no, this is dumb. I don't want it. J Maya goes, I want an advantage. Like, I haven't had shit this game. I want to be able to use it. All right, Kelly, you're the deciding vote. Well, a sandwich sounds really fucking good. But, yeah, I also haven't had an advantage. And, like, creating a cross-tribal alliance with the merge looming might be a good idea, so let's do that. And Austin's like, all right, that's fine. Happy to work with you. Let's go. And then in his confessional, he's like, okay, so if they want to do it, that's fine. I'm just going to try to get rid of them as quickly as possible. So this becomes another idol for me, and I could actually use it. And I'm going to get revenge for not getting my sandwich. So we get a revenge arc, like some Kill Bill shit, because he didn't get a sandwich. This is amazing. Like, I'm laughing so hard. And then, the shit going on in Bello, where it's what they call it, like, organized chaos, or like an organized scramble. Brando referred to it as speed dating at one point. It's like, all right, you with you, now let's switch. And I just, like, this is turn-based strategy. Like, this is turn-based scrambling. I love this. I need more of this. This helps my brain so much. But so Brando talks to, I don't know why, I made him plural for a second. Brando. And then Emily kept calling him Brendo. And I'm like, it's an A, not an E. What the fuck? But anyways, he talks to Drew and he's like, here's the thing, Drew. I want to stay. I am more than willing to turn on Kendra if that's what it'll take. Do you want my shot in the dark as a thing of trust? Drew's like, nah, man, you can fucking keep it. You're good. And then Drew says in confessional, he's like, dude, I don't trust him for a fucking second. This is bullshit. And then Brando in his confessional is like, yeah, like I said Kendra, but I'm kind of throwing her as a feint. I'm not actually... Essentially what he is saying is, I'm throwing out her name saying I am willing to do this to A, make it look like I'm willing to vote with them, but I'm still not. 2, so hopefully the votes go on to Kendra and not on to me. So like, hey, I'll vote her out, I'll work with you, and then when the votes come out, well, I didn't, but you voted for her, so I get off scot-free. Then a switch happens. Drew is talking to Emily, and he's like, yeah, Emily, Brando went up to me and said, hey, I'm willing to vote out Kendra. I don't fucking trust him. And Emily's like, why the fuck would he do that? I thought what was going on is that he and Kendra were tight, you and Austin were tight, and you were fighting over me. Like, I've had conversations with him and Brando about, like, they've approached me with that idea. What the fuck? That doesn't make any sense. And then she talks to Brando, and she's like, yeah, Drew told me you pitched him that. And then Brando's like, no, I didn't. Drew pitched that to me. Why would I pitch that to Drew? And I was like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Which is really funny to think about. It's like, yeah, Drew is telling the truth, but the truth seems so counterintuitive that it's easy to pass it off as a lie. I just think that's really funny. But if he had taken Brando's shot in the dark, he could have been like, yeah, I have this. Like, this is proof of what he said. And he's like, oh, motherfucker's a snake. But this is how we get our conflict with Emily. Like, yeah, the thing Drew is saying sounds so fishy. I don't quite buy it. And Drew's like, I'm telling you the truth. Like, what the fuck? I thought we were tight, but now that might not be the case. Like, do I need Austin to play his idol for me? Do I have to use my safety without power? I mean, probably not, but like, what the fuck should I do? Then Austin comes back and he's like, all right, everyone. This is what happened. It was sandwich or a challenge, and we did the challenge, and we lost. That's not actually what happened, but they don't need to know that. And then he's like, okay, Drew, this is what the fuck actually happened. We're doing the amulet bullshit. And Drew, understanding the assignment, is like, okay, so we're gonna vote those two out immediately so you get an idol faster, right? And Austin's like, yeah, 100%. I'm so glad that you just immediately knew what the play was. Then Drew tells Austin, he's like, okay, so this is what's going on with Emily. She doesn't, like, this is what actually happened, and she doesn't believe it. We should tell her about the amulet thing, because if we go to her and like, look, like, this is what happened. Austin just lied to everybody, but we want you to know the truth because we're with you. I think that'll help. So they tell Emily, and she's like, okay, thanks for letting me know. I think I'm trusting you guys a bit more, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, that sounds about right. Then we go to Tribal, which Brando makes his pitch, which is essentially like, hey, you know, I'm someone you should keep. I'm very well connected with the Bellow tribe. I'm the kind of guy that could be like I can kind of hook other people into working with us. You should keep me. Like, I'm a good spy. I got a lot of information. With Drew countering that's like, yeah, but if you're really well connected over there, why would I trust you at the merge? Because you'd probably just go back to your own people. They talk about how the point of this vote is like, look, we know the merge is coming. This is not about tribe strength, either in terms of like physical strength or puzzles and shit. It's about who can you trust going into the merge? Who do you want to work with long-term in the game and shit like that? And everyone kind of agrees. So it's time to vote. Austin's like, cool, I'm going to sack my vote so my idol stays, and I'm going to goodwill to get that vote back, Brando. So when it's time to vote, it's Drew, Brando, one vote remaining, and Drew looks terrified. Brando looks terrified. Kendra looks shocked that Brando has any votes on him at all. And Emily votes with Drew and Austin and votes out Brando, who takes it like a champ. He's totally cool with it, gives a really nice confessional after. And immediately after Jeff's like fifth person voted out of the game. I mean, Hannah wasn't really voted out, but anyways, fifth person gone. Brando. Kendra just gasps, "Why?" And it was actually really sad. Because beforehand, she's like, yeah, like, I get it, it's Survivor, but, like, I don't want to have, like, I don't like all this lying and manipulating and shit. And then Drew's like, yeah, I mean, like, I didn't think I was going to like Kendra, but she's really cool. Like, this isn't someone I want to lie to or manipulate. And then just, why? And, like, she looked shell-shocked after that happened. I was like, damn, like, this woman is broken. I feel so bad for her. And the next time on Survivor, the merge ? Because everyone's on the same beach, which would generally mean the merge, but it might be more of like a murgatory thing. I don't know. We've got 13 people, which, assuming it's a final 3, which is not a big assumption at all, that would mean a 10-person jury, which kind of sounds about right. I feel like you're probably going to get a 10 or an 8. Because I've noticed in the last few seasons, they have specifically avoided a 9-person jury. And I assume that's because a 9-person jury, while it never happened, could theoretically end in 3-3-3. It's usually like 5-4 or like 6-2-1, like kind of weird shit. But it theoretically could be a 3-3-3 tie, which I've never seen happen. And really, really, really want to know what the fuck happens in a 3-way tie where everyone has the same amount of votes. So you can't do the thing that happened in Ghost Island where it's like, okay, it's 10 people, 5-5-0. You got 0. You now cast the tie-breaking vote, which does mean that when Russell said, I'm going to put you on the jury, it's like, theoretically that could have happened. It didn't, but it could have. But you can't do that when all 3 have the same amount of votes. So it's like, what happened? I feel like I've talked about that before. Because I've been wondering that shit for years. What do you do? Does the jury just re-vote? Do they get to watch the season and then re-vote? Like, that I don't think they would do. It's like, did they just vote again? Is it 3-way fire making? Which would be kind of interesting. Or it's like, maybe they do some kind of challenge to eliminate one of the 3 people, and then the 3 people that voted for that person re-vote, or that person who just got eliminated now casts the deciding vote. Like, you wouldn't draw rocks, but like, how fucking weird would that be? It's like, all right, well, now you want to see the purple rock, or you want to see the white rock, and that means you won. Like, what the fuck? I don't know. What I do know is that this new episode of Chucky was fucking bananas. So there's a big Halloween charity ball going on in the White House. Halloween was Joseph's favorite time of year. So Chucky, being Joseph, gets to dress up, and he dresses up as the Phantom of the Opera. This is such a good move. And I didn't realize how good it was until the end of the episode. Like, on the one hand, I'm like, oh yeah, it's the Phantom of the Opera. Like, that's just a cool costume. It looks sick as hell. Chucky's looking dapper as fuck. And then when I thought about it, I was like, wait, no, like, he's embarrassed about how he looks, so he's growing older and shit. He's getting all nasty. He would want to hide his face like the Phantom. And then at the end of the episode, it's full spoiler. I'm assuming you either know what happened or you don't care and you're fine with it. At the end of the episode, he takes off the mask and he has a Phantom of the Opera fucked up looking face. I'm like, oh, that's great. And the way he gets kills done in this episode is by dropping a chandelier, like in the Phantom of the Opera. Like, oh, that was awesome. It's so good. It was such a smart idea. Thank you, Don Mancini. I don't know if Mancini specifically wrote this episode. I didn't check. But, like, Mancini or whoever wrote this episode, whoever directed it, thank you. That was wonderful. But Chucky has 3 more people to kill, and he's like, I really want it to be those 3 dickhead kids. They're coming in here for me. That's what I want. This is gonna be great. We also get to see Tiffany in prison. And when she first goes in, there's like this applause from all the other inmates, and then she goes into like a ward for like the more famous people. She met this woman named, it was like Evelyn Elliott or something, who's like a cook. They talk, and she's like, yeah, it's like I found my husband having an affair with my assistant, and I baked them both into a shepherd's pie. I called it a slut souffle. I'm like, that's fucking gold. And she's bonding with Tiffany, and then Tiffany's like, I killed my husband. Excuse me. It's like, I killed my sister, Meg Tilly. And she's like, you killed your sister? My sister is the most important person in the world to me. Fuck you. And your movies are terrible. It's like Bullets on Broadway was awful. No, it wasn't. I was Oscar nominated. Like, again, I fucking love Jennifer Tilly and Chucky shit. Chucky's my favorite character. Tiffany is great. I think she's so fucking funny. And Evelyn like puts a cigarette on the ground or like in an ashtray, and Tiffany's like, oh, and like puts it in her clothes. Let's see what. Oh yeah, and then the trio show up to the thing dressed as good guys. Lexi had like a hairpin. Jake's got a cowboy thing going on with a rope, and then Devin, like at first I just thought Devin was Bob the Builder, and I was like, oh wait, no, he's wearing the good guy shit. Gotcha. But that was kind of fun. And Grant's like a black angel, and they hang out with him for a bit, and he and Lexi really bond, and they go up to his room. And they listen to Blue Oyster Cult and Don't Fear the Reaper and having this, like, intimate moment. Like, this is actually really sweet. And Devin and Jake are like, where the fuck is Chucky? Meanwhile, like, before this, Henry doesn't want to go into the party because he's a little scared. So a nanny dressed as Mary Poppins goes to, like, take care of him. And she's all into the supernatural and shit. And she's like, yeah, ghosts totally exist. And then the first lady's like, what she means is, no, they don't. I actually got a kick out of that. President Devin Sawa, I think his name is James Collins, but I'm just going to call him President Devin Sawa, who, by the way, is easily the most likable character Devin Sawa has played in the show. He's played them all, like, fantastically. I'm like, oh, I actually really like this guy. Which I appreciate. Is actually seeing the ghost of his son, Joseph, also dressed as the Phantom of the Opera, and there's a point where, like, he gets him and Chucky mixed up, which doesn't really lead to anything, but I was like, oh, that's some tension there. Chucky also has a great joke at one point. He's like, Joseph, what were you doing? Yeah, I was checking for ghosts. I saw Nixon. Like, I got a really good laugh out of that. We go back to Jennifer Tilly, and her religious objects have shown up, which is a voodoo doll and Voodoo for Dummies, which she uses the voodoo doll and the cigarette on Evelyn while she's cooking. So she has a knife, and then she's like trying to stab herself and like kind of dodging it, and then she's like cuts her face. You're like, oh yeah, that's some fucked up shit. And like she's like stabbing but missing, then she's like cutting her hand, and she's not like hacking it off. It's like bing, bing, bing. And I'm like, oh, that's fucked up. That's fucked. Oh, that's a potato peeler. And she gets a potato peeler and starts like peeling her fingers. That's the one that got me, man. I don't know what it is, but there's something about fingers. And like whenever I see fingers like getting cut off or shit, like I think it's in Grand Budapest of all movies. There's a scene where a dude like gets a finger, like a door slams on his fingers and his fingers like get cut off a little bit and then collected. I was like, oh, that, no. Higurashi, like one of my favorite anime of all time. I absolutely fucking adore it. I still really need to read it. Has a lot of really, really, really violent, fucked up shit in it. The scene that fucks me up the most is the damn fingernail scene. Like, all the shit that happens, that is the one that just makes me squirm. It makes me cringe. There's something about fingers. So the potato peeler, like, like, I can't watch. I'm watching it. I'm not looking away. I'm like, That's the one that's too far. And then, she starts, like, grabbing her hair and, like, burning herself on shit. The way she dies is there's a pot of cooking oil, and then she dunks her head in the cooking oil, and she brings it up, and she's burned, and I think her eye like falls out of her head. It's gross, it's nasty, it's great, and it wasn't fingers. So, going back to what happens in the White House, they're looking for Chucky, and Grant's like, you guys just wanted me to like get into my house. You were like, you don't really care about me. Fuck you and shit, which he's not wrong. So like, understandable reaction. And Chucky, and like the chandelier ends up falling, and it kills a good handful of people. It kills that like one reporter lady where she's eviscerated, like she's in half, her guts are everywhere, and she's like trying to take a picture as she's shaking. The nanny gets up, and like you don't see her face, so I'm like, oh, okay, like her face is probably like super fucked up. This might be some like Breaking Bad shit. And like she gets up, like picks up her parasol, and she turns around, and she looks fine. Then a cut appears on her face, and then her face just falls off. Again, super nasty, super gross. It was great, and it wasn't fingers, so I was cool with it. The bodies end up getting taken away, everything's gone to shit, and then Chucky's like, oh, damn Bella, I killed a bunch of fucking people in the damn White House. Help me. And then, he does all the shit, and there's the clouds and the lightning and blah, blah, blah. And he takes off the mask, and now he's old, he's gross. He's looking like the Phantom of the Opera, like, fuck. And like that's basically the end of the episode. Was there anything? Oh, no, there was something that I missed. I just want to see, is there anything else that I really missed besides this thing? Not really. So the only other thing is the guard that's been giving Tiffany shit all episode. She's like, dude, is there any dessert? Spits her gum into her tray. He's like, there you go, a juicy fruit. And Tiffany's like, oh, goody. Now I have something of hers that I can give to my doll. And then is now voodoo controlling her. And it's like, okay, cool. This is what I need you to do. I need you to get objects from all the other guards, including the sniper. So then you can waltz and escort me right out of here. And that was Chucky. So like Survivor had a lot of shit happen. We're about to go to emerge. It was a lot of fun. This episode of Chucky, it's the Halloween episode, so it is by far like the nastiest, most gory, most disgusting. I can't say I loved every second of it because like, oh, not the potato peeler fingers. But I loved every second of it. It was fan-fucking-tastic.